Hi, my name's Renelle Ford, and I'm one of the registered dietitians with Frisco ISD Child Nutrition.
Hi, my name's Courtney Steibel, and I'm also a registered dietitian with Frisco ISD.
And today we're going to be talking about
Food allergies!
Woo! Courtney, did you know that every 10 seconds someone in the U.S. visits the emergency room due to food allergy reaction?
No, I had no clue. That's crazy.
Very crazy.
So today, to help keep our kiddos safe in the kitchen with food allergies, we're going to give you an overview of what food allergies are, food allergy reactions, prevention, communication, and responses. So Renelle, what are food allergies?
Well, food allergies are when your body has an adverse reaction to food, like hives, face and tongue or lip swelling, coughing and wheezing, difficulty breathing, loss of consciousness, and sometimes death.
Wow, food allergies are really serious. Did you know that there are 9 major food allergens? These include peanuts, tree nuts, milk, eggs, wheat, soy, fish, shellfish, and sesame. But Renelle, you know, sometimes kids go through the line and they say they don't have an allergy, but they have a preference.
Yeah.
What's a preference?
A preference is not an adverse food reaction. So a preference is going to be something that is purely due to personal preference. So that could be due to culture or religion, or just I don't eat meat. So when you receive a product, you need to make sure to check the label for any substitutions.
Well, aren't they the same? They're both white boxes and they say chicken.
Well, Courtney, when we look at the boxes, we can definitely see the difference between these two products. So if we look at the top box right here, you're gonna see that this is a gluten-free product. So it's a gluten-free breaded chicken. And if we look through the ingredients, you do not see wheat or gluten in any of those ingredients there. And if we move down to this product here, this is gonna be a popcorn breaded chicken, but it contains wheat. So if we go through the ingredients, you can see it contains wheat flour. When it contains wheat, that means it also contains gluten.
Wow, so I guess it really is important to not just look at the color of the box, but read the label to ensure that students with allergens receive the proper product when we serve them.
That is correct, Courtney. Yes, we want to make sure we look at the box, make sure there's no substitutions that come in our front door, because allergens can differ from product to product, even if they look exactly the same, aka a white colored box.
So in short, always be sure to check the label.
So Courtney, now that we've received the product, where do we put it?
I'll show you. Let's go.
All right.
It's a bit chilly in here.
It's cold.
Whenever you have a special diet student, you should have a special section just for allergy-free products. As you can see, we put the gluten-free chicken chunks over where it says special diets.
And also remember that we want to put those special diet products on the top shelf. And the reason for that is
cross contact, in case anything might fall and drift down on any product. So say we had a non-gluten-free product above those gluten-free chicken chunks, the non-gluten-free wheat may come in cross contact with that. So in short, always store special diet products on the top. So once we store the product, what do we do next?
Next, we have to prep the product. So how do we know what to prep for our special diet kids? You should receive one of these special diet menus. As you can see here, it tells you every single day what to serve for your gluten-free kid.
Well, Renelle, what we whipping up today?
Today we're going to be making chicken nuggets, but not just any type of chicken nuggets.
Gluten-free chicken nuggets.
Yes. All right, so first, before we start anything, we got to clean and sanitize. So I'm going to first clean and sanitize this area right here. Does that look clean, Courtney?
Spotless.
After that, I got to go wash my hands.
What's next?
Next, we're going to actually prep our food. So first, I'm going to take these clean and sanitized trays and equipment, utensils, whatever you would like to call them. Today we're going to be prepping chicken, so it's going to be a little different. If you ever were to prep anything different, we do have a cutting board and a cutting knife that is the color purple, as you can see here. And these are only for allergy-free food items. So your gluten-free nuggets, gluten-free bread, things like that. So we're going to set these aside because we're not going to be using them today. And today we're going to take our tray because we're going to be baking some gluten-free nuggets. So one thing we want to ensure is that this tray has been cleaned and sanitized. So did you see me clean and sanitize this, Courtney?
She did.
Next, we want to make sure we put a barrier down. So that's what this is for. So we're going to take this and we're going to lay it down, put that barrier down there, and then we're going to take our gluten-free nuggets right here. All right? So now I'm going to put on my gloves to ensure that we are extra cautious on protecting against cross contact. All right. So now that my gloves are on, we're gonna take our gluten-free chicken nuggets. Remember to look, it says gluten-free on the box. So now, Courtney, I'm gonna take these gluten-free chicken nuggets and put how many serving? So today I just need 1 serving of them. So I'm gonna lay those out on the tray. And as you can see here, do I have only gluten-free nuggets?
I only see gluten-free.
So it's very, very important not to put gluten-free nuggets with your regular nuggets together because that's how
Cross contact happens.
All right. So now that we've had the gluten-free nuggets on here, we're going to take this over to the oven and pop them in there. And as you can see in here, do you see any other products in here?
Nope.
All right. So when we put in our gluten-free product, that means that it's only gluten-free product that goes into our ovens, okay? And the reason for that is we don't want to
cross contact.
Yes. All right, now that the gluten-free nuggets have finished, I'm gonna put on my glove thingies, whatever they're called.
Oven mitts?
Oven mitts.
Would be the correct term.
Oven mitts. And we're gonna pull out these gluten-free nuggets right here. Like you see, they're
Smells
cooked
divine.
to perfection. And just so you guys know, the gluten-free nuggets do need to bake in there separately from all the other products. However, once the gluten-free nuggets are done, you can pop in any other product that you would like. I recommend cooking your gluten-free product first before we cook the other stuff. So, all right, Courtney, now what do we do?
Well, after our chicken nuggets have been cooked to perfection, we are going to place them in a little boat. So after we place our delicious chicken nuggets in the boat, we're going to make sure to get a cover and write the student's number on it.
And why do we just write the number?
Because we do not want to overtly identify these students. We want to make sure that they are protected. So just write the number of the student. Do not write the name. And it's also very helpful when cashiering. You can just type in their number and the student will pull up.
So we're going to ensure the product is completely covered and set it on what color tray?
A purple tray.
And why purple?
Because these are allergy-free safe items. So now that we've properly labeled and covered it, what do we do next?
Now we're going to take it over to the warmer. So where do you think we should put this in the warmer, Courtney?
I would say on top.
And why is that?
To prevent cross contact.
So we're going to put this on the top shelf of the warming unit because, again, like Courtney talked about when we were in the freezer, is we don't want anything to fall or drip on our gluten-free product or special diet product. So this ensures that it is protected. Okay, so now that we have the special diet, that thing's hard to open. In here on the top shelf, what's one thing that we need to make sure of, Courtney?
We need to make sure that everyone is aware of this special diet student.
So, who is this? Who's this for, Courtney?
It's for, if you have a special diet menu, it'll state who it's for. But this one's for our good friend, Jimmy John. Hello, I have a special diet tray. Thank you.
Ooh, hey Jimmy John. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. So now that Jimmy John has put in his number, he has a restriction that pops up. As you can see here, he is allergic to wheat and gluten. And then he has a special diet menu. So that means you should have one of those special diet menus that we showed you earlier to follow in the back of your kitchen. So here it says wheat and gluten. So now we just have to make sure that Jimmy John doesn't get any items that contain wheat or gluten. So when he was coming forward, he pulled up a cookie. And as you can see here, this cookie contains wheat right here in the label. You can also see it up here. So this is an item that we would have to take away from Jimmy John because his allergies restrict that from him from having this. And so we just want to make sure we take a second to look at this screen, double check his tray to make sure there's nothing that could cause an allergic reaction. So once we've looked at that, we can close this out. And as you can see on your screen, there's a bunch of different exclamation points. He wanted to get the cookie, but as you can see here, it won't allow us to ring him up for the cookie because of his gluten and wheat allergy. However, some of the other buttons aren't blocked, like your meal button. So you need to be very vigilant in looking at your students' trays to make sure they don't contain the allergen that pops up on the screen. So Courtney, what are some tools we have at the cash register that can help us protect students against allergens?
Well, every school should have a binder that contains multiple resources of allergen information. So
what's this?
Well, as you can see, this is the daily menu, and it has it printed out for each day of the cycle. As you flip through, you can see. If you zoom in closely, you can see it lists every item on the menu for that day, as well as the allergens that are in each item.
So is that what that is right there?
Yes. So as you can see, the chicken tenders contain corn, gluten, milk, soy, and wheat.
So Jimmy John can't have the chicken tenders, right?
Nope. That's why he had his gluten-free ones.
Ah, good to know.
There's also another resource which is super handy that lists out all the a la carte items and the allergies in them. So as you can see, these list the items that contain peanuts and tree nuts, the ones that contain eggs, and the ones that may contain pork or pork protein.
Okay.
And on the back side, it lists the items that do not contain allergens. So these items, if a student has a wheat or gluten allergen, they can have these items.
So is the cookie on there?
I don't see cookie.
I don't see the cookie either, so he can't have the cookie.
Nope. As you can see, we have various tools in place to help prevent allergy reactions. We have buttons on our POS system, as well as multiple resources in your binder.
You also have
us,
the dietitians. You can always call us if you have any questions regarding special diets, allergens, and dietary preferences.
So Renelle, how do I know if I even have a special diet student?
When each student gets registered every year, there is a form that is given to the parent to complete with a physician's signature on it. This form is then either given to the nurse, sometimes brought to the cafe supervisor, or sometimes submitted directly to special diets. But in any form, it should be sent to special diets. And once special diets, meaning me or Courtney, receive the form, that is when we start the process of creating a special diet menu. So some items or some allergies may not need a special diet menu, like strawberries. Strawberries are something that's not on the menu very consistent, that we can just remove from that kid's tray. However, when it comes to like a gluten-free special diet, we do need to create a menu for that. And so once we receive that form, that is when we'll start creating that menu. Once we create that menu, then we actually take it and send it off to the parent, the nurse, and the cafe supervisor at that school location. So you should receive an email from Special Diets, and in that email attachment of a specific special diet menu. Once you receive this special diet menu, you will communicate with the parent. So me and Courtney will step out of that at that point, and that's when the cafe supervisor will start communicating with the parent and setting up a schedule. So that could be they could eat every day, or they could eat once a week. It just depends. And so you'll want to communicate with that parent via email, phone on that. And then once you set up that schedule, then you will start preparing that special diet meal. All right, Courtney, so we've done all this stuff to help prevent cross contact, but something happens. And sometimes accidents do happen and kids do have an allergic reaction. So what happens? Like, what do I do when there's an allergic reaction?
So every cafe supervisor should have a walkie. On this walkie, they need to call the nurse to make sure that the nurse can come and give the student an EpiPen. In the meantime, someone needs to call 911 because the student is going to need emergency attention and need to be taken to the hospital most likely. But, you need to make sure that someone is with the student at all times. Meanwhile, the nurse is getting the EpiPen and while someone's calling 911.
So Courtney, one day I had this kid that came to the line and he had soy as an ingredient, wheat, gluten, milk as an ingredient, but had no special diet menu. What do I do?
Call the dietitian. So Renelle, I had someone come through the line and they said they no longer had an allergy, but it was still on the POS system. How do I remove it?
Well, Courtney, it's a very easy process. However, we cannot give that person that allergen until that item is removed from their account. So what they need to do is either ask them if it's okay to call the parent to help get that removed, or you can tell them that their parent needs to email special diets at friscoisd.org and they can request to have that allergen removed. If it's something that's just changed in their allergies, they would need to complete another form with a doctor's signature. Now that you're an allergy expert in the kitchen, we're gonna recap with some questions and answers.
Fire away.
Okay. How do you know if a student has a food allergy?
An allergy alert will pop up on the POS system.
Good answer.
What steps are taken to avoid cross contact during prep in the kitchen?
We use separate purple utensils, cutting boards, and equipment for allergy-free meals. Staff are trained to clean and sanitize surfaces before and after prep. How are special diet meals labeled and served?
Special diet menus are clearly labeled and served separately on a purple tray.
Perfect.
So what do you do again if a student has an allergic reaction?
We call the nurse on the walkie and tell them to bring an EpiPen ASAP. Then have someone call
911. And now we're done.
Over and out.
No, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Okay.
I can't do this.
Ooh, cookies.
Jimmy John, you know you can't have those cookies.
I want cookies.
Oh, so I'm sorry, hon. You can't have this, okay?
No.
Remember?
But I want it.
I know. You're making me cry.
Okay.
All right, Jimmy John.